All right, cyber traders, welcome on back here this Tuesday, January 25th. I got double audio here in my background. I'm trying to take care of that right now. Should be good to go otherwise. Great to see Chuck. Great to see all of our students and members alike inside the cyber group room. And if you're joining us back on social media, Facebook Live or YouTube, welcome on back. So I'll tell you what, folks, I'm not fully prepared for this meeting, actually. It's on me, actually. I don't know. I didn't have my notepad. So I'm going to break out a quick Word document here. We'll do it just online for right now, and we'll kind of just begin by scanning the market for the meantime here. The Ari ended up just jumping in and out on the SRRA stock, it looks like. He was just in for about 40 or so cents, ended up catching it right off of 23.50, and essentially a scalp, right? Hey, for as much as this stock ended up pushing up in pre-market and dumping off in pre-market, we were hopeful for a really nice run back up at some point throughout the market open. Well, we got it. We talked about this trade exclusively inside our Traders Talk workshop. That's our weekly Q&A workshop we host right inside the Cyber Group room every Tuesday morning. So for all of us on social media, you can go right down to the link on the banner below the stream here as we begin, just for you to get started. But look what's happening now. Pushing back up, breaking out above the resistance it was holding underneath, and this is really just simple charting here. On the SRRA daily chart, weekly chart, you could dig into just to make it look easier, look cleaner. But it was holding underneath 24 for really the last couple of months, hasn't it? So, I find this to be a very important pop right now with it breaking above that historical resistance. We were hopeful to get a really nice run back up after it was halted, and that's where it ended up dropping off. It became a huge disappointment from that point. We were hoping for a much bigger push, perhaps up to 27.50, and we didn't get it. So this pop right now makes me believe like, hey, there's a pretty decent chance now at this point that we can get that. So, we'll begin by putting the SRRA trade at least on the watch list. All right. Good afternoon to Patrick K joining us on YouTube this afternoon. How about that? All right. So what we'll do is just really go from top to bottom. Otherwise, SRRA is the top percent gainer, right? We got a familiar name in XELA number 2, but it's like a cheapie. It's like below $1. So normally these stocks don't make as concise, as steady of a move up. So for what it's worth, it did make a really good push, from the morning from 40 cents up to like 60, 61. But again, I wouldn't expect a secondary move here heading into the close. If we do get a sudden pop as we continue to go through this meeting, I would definitely reconsider. But, I want to see if there's anything else looking a bit better, a bit more tempting. And actually, just a moment ago here, this APM tried making a push back up to its opening bell print price right off of 225. Failed to do it, made a false breakout and slipped back down. You could see that I'm waiting for it. I'm looking for another pop on this APM, that's for sure. Maybe we'll get it during this meeting, so I got to be a little more hands-on with that on my other monitor here for the meantime. But APM, I feel like otherwise, if it doesn't make this pop very soon from this point forward, I think it would just be more of a tease than anything. So, my order's there. I'm waiting for that next break or next pop over 225. But if it's not giving it to us right now, it's like, we've been waiting the whole day on this move, right? So, I guess we can keep waiting, but I'd rather try and find some better opportunities first. I'll probably be the first to tell you if the APM trade pops as we go. SXTC, another cheapie, I guess a China pharmaceutical stock, but not really worth their time right now. MNMD, try saying that ticker 3 times fast. Ended up making a sudden pop, more so heading into the late morning, the early afternoon. Broke out from 110, 115, pushed up about 15 or so cents. Right now, as you can clearly see right now, it's just flat, completely dead here. CAPR, this was one I thought, did he put it on the pre-market? Yeah, he did. Fausto had this on the pre-market watch list at least. It wasn't looking as good by 9 a.m., unfortunately. But, hey, it ended up making a decent little push back up once the market opened up, and more so heading into the early afternoon. We ended up seeing it begin to, inch up higher. It was a crawler, if anything. But right now, it's at its next major resistance I charted from this morning off of 350. So, hey, with this near the highs right now at this time of the day, it's kind of hard for me to not put this on our main list here. This is the capper trade, CAPR. And then next up, actually a couple of familiar names here, if I'm not mistaken. Smile Direct Club, definitely a familiar name, but then also Prog, Prog. I forgot about this one for a little while. The SDC trade, but kind of similar line of thinking with this as we just talked about on Capper, and near the highs going into this time of the day. Look at the daily chart. So this could be the beginnings of a quick little short squeeze across today, across this week. So this could be pretty interesting, not just for today, but going forward for a little bit here. SDC we'll put on our watch list. Prague here, PROG. Oh, this one was actually making a pretty decent move up heading into this meeting, from like 140 up to 162. Pulled back down a bit. I feel like this stock comparative to SDC, I mean, I guess both kind of have pretty big orders out there on the ask. Looking at the size of the orders here on my level 3 program here, 38, 42, 61,000 shares on the ask for SDC. It's pretty similar liquidity for Prague, if not even, more liquid for Prague. So this can kind of be like watching the grass grow here. I just want to kind of go through some of the others first. Oh, looks like we got a little pop on U1 here, which is a familiar name. Looking on my weekly chart, it's not a daily chart, but weekly there, just showing, it ended up popping going back into summer of last year. And I think even the year before that, I think we were beginning to follow this stock back from 2020 even. So we're familiar with this trade. Oh, yeah. That's the move that I was referring to there. That's a legitimate pop that we caught. This is a weekly chart, so that happened across a couple of days' time, but U1 went from like $5 or $4 up to 55. Pretty impressive. For right now, though, I mean, hey, it's only trading 500,000 shares heading into the afternoon. That's actually that's an all right sign here, given the liquidity. It's not like on a crazy spread, really. It has some thinner orders out there, smaller, thinner orders out there on the book, but right now, actually, it's approaching its next resistance iceberg order for about 19,000 shares right off the high of the day. This one interests me a little bit more here, the U1 trade. All right, I'll tell you what, I came pretty unprepared for this meeting, folks. I didn't bring my notepad, and I didn't even bring my cup of water with me. That's an issue. Oh boy, let's try and go through this meeting here kind of quick. The CKPT trade ended up making a nice pop going into the early to mid afternoon from like 250 up to 265, but obviously now at this point, it's done. Chuck on Rely. Let's go to RELI. I don't know if that's on the gainer side or what, but looks like it's making a really sharp push up here for the afternoon. Chuck just picked up 78 cents on it. He made the call out actually before we started this afternoon meeting. I know that he wrote in the chat board at 2:28 Eastern time, and even before that at 2:25. Chuck C in our live trading room wrote, Rely trying to hold above the opening print price at 568. And boy, did it. Wow, it's a really good observation, Chuck. I love to see comments like that, really. Strategy pays off, right? Once it broke above its opening bell print price right off of, what was that, 558, you said? 568? Ended up making a really nice run back up higher. So, yeah, the way this looks, right, definitely goes right on our list here. If anything, near the top for right now. All right, so let's jump over to the losers list for the meantime. Market ended up making a nice push back up heading into the early afternoon. We were following AMC in particular with that. Really nice push back up again here on the Rely. I would assume resistance on this trade to be off of 7. Not really much of an iceberg showing from my matrix just yet, but that's one of the few things that we can kind of assume whole number levels to be big support resistance. All right, so AJRD shortable. I am going to shoot from the hip here. I'm not going to care to look or anything, folks. But my assumption is that this company got bought out back in the beginning of last year. It like flattened out for a long period of time after, and then it dropped. And now here's the next drop off today. So I don't know what happened on the stock. Maybe like bad pharma news or bad guidance, whatever it may be. It's at the lows, and that part's piquing my interest. It's shortable. It's at the lows. Liquidity is definitely thin for a $35, $36 stock. But on the same side of saying that, the spread's really not too wacky for a $35, $36 stock that has such thin volume. So I'm sure it could open up here and there, but we've been watching it for the last 30, 45 seconds, and it really hasn't opened up yet. So, that could be pretty telling. I like to see that. So AJRD, I'll put on our main watch list here with it being near the lows and shortable and whatnot. So I think stock from yesterday, right? ETR. Oh no, that was EXTN, right? EXTN, ETRN. My trader's dyslexia there. ETRN near the low of the day right now, though, and much like the AJRC shortable, and this one more within our price range. Liquidity is even better. So of course I'm gonna put this one on here as well. The ETRN. Peloton down big and shortable. We'll take a look at that one once more. This one's practically on our side list going forward, so long as we have this within our price range. Really, trading about 27 or 23 plus million shares. It's just in a tight range. That's the gripe I have on it. Hasn't really broken down just yet. Maybe it can later on. It's down over 8%. So, hey, this will remain to be, if anything, on our side list. DD here, kind of a familiar name as well. I feel like, yeah, order is going to be too big on the book. All right, and that's just about it across the loser side, folks. I mean, hey, we ended up having a nice bounce back up across the SPY at the high of the day right now, trying to move back up towards yesterday's close even. So, if there's any other stocks that look good that could be like moving with the market, just type it in the chat board here. Oh boy. All right, Rich, I appreciate you there. We have AJRD from John, the news out, I guess. FTC blocks a merger with Lockheed. That's pretty interesting. All right, so that's bad enough news, obviously, to have a stock like this down, 18+%. It looks really flat from a zoomed out perspective, right? Looks like really flat zoomed out. Zoomed in, it's dropping off pretty steady. So, that's where I say it could be a decent short. Michael in Cyber Group says AA expensive but climbing to the high of the day. Yeah. Yeah. See if there's anything more within our price range that's up as much, maybe. AAL is at the highest, but not up as much as the Alcoa, percentage wise. CCL looks good, obviously moving with, the S&P here. What else do we have? We got PLTR we'll take a look at. We'll take a look at AMC. Palantir's at the highs, making a decent move for right now, decent push up to 1350. AMC has just been a chop fest today. It was really coiling up for like the majority of the day. Then going into the mid afternoon, shortly after 1 p.m. Eastern, it did make a nice little run up from like 16. I'm not particular about that just yet. I'll tell you what, between the airlines and cruise lines, but like that CCL looks all right. It's not up 5% plus and whatnot, but up over 2.5 at the highs here. Take a look on NCLH. This is up even more. Maybe I just slap cruise lines all together on the watch list. I mean, of course, I could do the same for airlines, but it doesn't seem like those are up as much. Yep, there we go, Cliff. Right on cue, right? Right on cue. I'm going to get my stop set first before I show it because that's the responsible thing to do. If I can get my cursor straight there. All right, give me a sec here, folks. I apologize for the bad radio for right now. I'm messing up on setting up my stop. There we go. All right, so Cliff was talking about APM, and here's the push up. For right now, I set a really tight stop on my trade. I made it even tighter. I had to pull it and kind of push it down a penny. So yeah, for right now, APM trying to make that move that I was insinuating from before, the pop over the opening bell print price at 225. Definitely a good amount of buying coming in right now, and obviously up big still on the day. So I feel like this could be a decent one, folks. And then if it ends up, really pulling back, if it breaks under 225, I'm going to get stopped out of my trade. If I get stopped out, maybe there's a chance I jump back in if I really begin to see it push back up again. But I really hope for this to just be like the one and done type of deal where it just breaks resistance and flies from this point. Next resistance up top would be at 231, the green line. That's a lot of volume traded from pre-market earlier this morning. I would still anticipate for that to be a bit of a top before anything else happens. From Scott, he says Bed Bath Beyond looks good. It's like building a Fausto flag, actually. And it's up over 9%. Wow, I'm surprised I didn't find this on the gainer side, Scott. With it up as much as it is, that's the reason why I'm more interested in following it. And it's obviously at the highs, like building a really nice flag. So, yeah, good call on this one in particular. I'm going to add Bed Bath Beyond. The cruise lines I'll kind of tag together there, like just say cruise lines like CCL, NCLH, etc. All right, folks. I think that just about does it for right now, though. I'm going to try and manage my APM trade here. All right. I think all in all, we have a pretty good list. Outside the cruise lines, we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 other stocks aside from the cruise lines, that is, to work with heading into the afternoon. All right. So, hey, we went through the whole market, folks. We went through the whole market. So start and stick with this list. And then if there's anything else that does make a really big move, and you know what I'm talking about, folks, I wouldn't call out like a 2-cent, 3-cent move up as a pop. You know what I mean? Unless if there's anything really making a respectable move that's worth the time, I'd rather kind of just hang out for the next 15, 20 minutes, shortly after 3 p.m. Eastern time when Rich goes back on the mic. I'm sure that we'll rescan the market a lot further from that point. I'll be back on at 3:30 to wrap things up for us here heading into the close. All right, for all of us on YouTube, Facebook Live, I appreciate you sticking with me each and every. We got a couple comments here. My apologies. Just reading this right now. My lack of water is distracting me. From Maureen on the SDC trade, we already got that, so I appreciate the heads up from Maureen about 4 minutes ago. RJF just commenting on Apple, saying it's not stopping really, right? So, hey, that seems to be the whole market for the meantime. Hey, if you're not using the SPY as a good gauge, if you're trading some of the stocks that move with the market, use Apple as a good gauge, really. How much higher can SRRA go from one of us otherwise on YouTube? Just reading the comments again. Well, it's actually making a pretty good hold here around 25. The fact it didn't snap really that much closer to 24 for right now, that's a pretty good sign. But take it level by level. Ended up popping up towards 25.60 and then from there pulled back. That was a huge resistance from the halt. All right, folks, if you have any other questions, feel more than free to send over a quick email. I'm referring to all of us on YouTube right now and Facebook Live that join our social streams. Going to post my email address right here, josh@c2trading.com. I got to grab me a water bottle. All right, folks, I will be back on the mic in the next 30 or so minutes. I'll talk to you all pretty soon. Take care.